For more on this, let's bring in Ariane Bogain. She's a senior lecturer of French and politics at the University of Northumbria, and she joins us now live from Newcastle. Welcome to TRT World. Ariane, what do you think it will take for President Macron to hit pause as the unions are demanding? And we've just heard there.
Yeah, it will take either for the country to be at a standstill, so for the union to, for basically a general strike. If we have a general strike, if the country is at standstill, it will be extremely difficult for Macron not to pause, exactly as it happened in Israel yesterday. Or if violence increases and Macron is held responsible for it and is seen as losing control of the situation. Right now, we have a lot of people on the street. We have strikers, but the country has not been at a standstill yet. And violence has happened all throughout last week. And we could see in polls that the French are holding Macron responsible for it. So if we have either a standstill, a paralysis of France, or we have violence that continues, that increases, and Macron is seen as responsible, then it will have to do something to regain control of the situation.
Do you think he's lost control, or even the respect of the streets, the respect of the unions?
Well, he clearly lost the battle of public opinion, and he lost it early on. The fundamental issue is that the vast majority of French people do not want this reform. They see it as unfair, they see it as not necessary, and he has failed to convince them. So yes, he has lost public opinion, and there is clearly in the street and in the violence a deep anti-Macronism on display. So the project might have passed Parliament, but he has lost the battle of public opinion. Absolutely, that's undeniable.
I'm just looking at these scenes on the streets of Paris, and we've been hearing some incredible, very strong language from the Interior Minister, actually, that they would be using unprecedented effort by the forces of law in order to combat the streets that want to bring fire and blood to the streets. And they've also said, well, the Interior Minister also said that 1,000 radical troublemakers from overseas could latch on to marches planned in Paris and elsewhere. Just how big do you think this could get, Ariane? And could it get, and how soon could it get to that point of a standstill and more violence that you've been saying that would be that point where President Macron then says, OK, maybe we hit pause, maybe there's a U-turn, maybe we do more than give an interview and say nothing on France 2?
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows. The situation is so volatile. I don't have a crystal ball. No one really can determine, how it's going to be stopped, whether violence will increase. What the Interior Minister is doing, and what Macron did in his interview last week, is to try to present themselves as the guarantor of order, in order to bring the silent majority, to turn the silent majority against the movement, because violence can also be to the detriment of the union. It can go either way, but whether violence is going to be unleashed at an even larger scale than we saw last week, nobody knows. It's too volatile, really, to call.
And just remind us, Ariane, why do the French think that working until the age of 64 is an attack on their way of life?
I think it's the essential problem is that this reform only falls, first of all, on people who are working. So no effort is asked of pensioners, companies, and it disproportionately fall on the shoulders of manual workers, people who started to work early. They'll have to work 2 more years, but their life expectancy post-retirement is already much shorter than other categories. And that's where the injustice lies. It's this idea that it's always the same people who are asked to make sacrifices. Companies are not asked to contribute, pensioners are not asked to contribute, and the people with diploma who will already already have to work longer anyway are not asked to the same extent to make a sacrifice. So that's where the feeling of unfairness really lies.
Thank you so much. Really great to get your analysis. That was Ariane Bogain, Senior Lecturer of French and Politics from the University of Northumbria. Thank you so much.